The rain fell in quiet sheets, each drop tracing the contours of a city that seemed alive with secrets it would never speak aloud. Elena felt the pulse of it beneath her skin, a rhythm she couldn't name, a longing she hadn't yet understood. She pressed her palms to the glass, watching reflections of passing lights ripple and shiver, wondering if the universe was waiting for her to ask, or if it already knew. Somewhere deep inside, a voice whispered, almost shyly, a prayer she didn't realize she was offering, for clarity, for connection, for a gentle answer that could soothe the ache she carried. But the question lingered, fragile and weighty. What if the universe has been listening all along? And for the first time, Elena allowed herself to imagine that perhaps, somehow, it might answer. The morning light seeped through thin curtains, brushing Elena's face with a soft, hesitant warmth. She moved through her apartment almost mechanically, brewing coffee, arranging small vases of flowers, touching objects she barely noticed before. Yet, each gesture felt like a ritual, a way to hold herself steady against a quiet emptiness that hummed beneath her chest. Outside, the city buzzed with its usual urgency, but inside, time slowed, allowing her to notice the tiny details. The way sunlight caught dust in golden motes, the faint aroma of roasted beans, the whisper of wind across leaves. In the midst of ordinary moments, a sense of expectation lingered, as if the world itself was pausing to see what she would do next. By mid-morning, Elena sat at her desk, a journal open before her. Her pen hovered over the page, hesitant, as if the words she needed most were hiding in plain sight. Memories of fleeting moments, a kind word from a stranger, a laugh shared over nothing, surfaced and fell like soft echoes in her mind. She realized how many prayers she had whispered without knowing, small desires tucked into the folds of her heart, never voiced, never fully recognized. And as the ink finally met paper, she felt the strange thrill of speaking aloud what she hadn't known she'd been asking for all along. Later that day, Elena wandered the streets, letting her feet guide her more than any plan. In a quiet alley, she noticed a stray cat perched on a fire escape, its green eyes reflecting something familiar and oddly comforting. A stranger laughed nearby, and the sound made her chest tighten in a way that felt like recognition, like the universe had dropped a small clue just for her. Every glance, every passing shape seemed to whisper of hidden paths and quiet miracles waiting to be acknowledged, urging her to stay awake to the possibilities she hadn't yet imagined. By evening, Elena found herself on a quiet park bench, the last of the sun painting the sky in soft pinks and golds. She closed her eyes and let the breeze brush against her face, carrying the faint scent of flowers and the distant murmur of the city. It was in this suspended moment that she realized the small signs she had been ignoring. The glint of sunlight on wet streets, the unexpected kindness of strangers, the whispers in her own heart. She opened her eyes and smiled softly, a fragile understanding blooming that perhaps in ways too subtle to notice at first, the universe had been answering all along. Elena stepped into the bustling cafe, the hum of conversation and clatter of cups grounding her in the ordinary world. Yet something felt different, an inexplicable lightness in the air, as if the universe had nudged her gently, saying, "Notice this?" She ordered her usual coffee but caught a glimpse of a folded note tucked beneath her cup's saucer. Curiosity flared. It read simply, "Keep your heart open. Small miracles find you in quiet places." She smiled, the words echoing what she had never dared to voice, and felt the first tangible warmth of a response she hadn't realized she was awaiting. Later, walking through the park, Elena noticed a pattern in the ordinary. Birds landed near her in gentle synchrony, children's laughter punctuated the rhythm of her steps, and a sudden breeze brushed her cheek as if guiding her forward. She realized she had begun noticing the world in a new way, signs that had always been there but invisible, until her heart tuned to them. Every step became a dialogue, every glance a message. The universe was not silent, and she was finally listening. A week later, a chance encounter shifted everything. Elena collided with a man outside a bookstore, books tumbling to the sidewalk. Apologies turned to laughter, and their eyes met. Blue meeting Hazel, and something unspoken clicked into place. His presence felt familiar yet unexpected, like a melody she had hummed in dreams but never remembered. For the first time, she sensed that the universe was conspiring in her favor, weaving threads that she could not yet fully understand, but could no longer ignore. After that encounter, Elena noticed the subtle patterns in her own heart. She replayed the meeting over and over, each time discovering a tiny shift, a quiet thrill, a recognition she had never known before. Every mundane detail, the way he laughed, the warmth in his eyes, seemed orchestrated by something vast, invisible, and benevolent. She began to feel that life itself was a conversation, one that invited her to lean in and trust the guidance it offered. That night, Elena lay in bed, eyes tracing the ceiling as moonlight spilled across her room. She realized that for the first time, she was awake to her own heart, the universe, and the delicate threads connecting them. Small coincidences no longer seemed random, and her prayers, once quiet and unacknowledged, felt answered in ways too subtle to measure. The gentle stirrings of fate whispered, "Trust, notice, feel." And in that delicate surrender, she felt a glimmer of peace, fragile but undeniable. The city streets felt heavier that morning, the sunlight muted behind thick clouds. Elena walked with a subtle tension in her shoulders, replaying every interaction with Theo, questioning the meaning behind their coincidental meeting. Doubt crept in, whispering that maybe she had misread signs, that perhaps the universe was silent after all. Her heart longed for clarity, but the answers seemed just out of reach, teasing her with glimpses of possibility, while leaving her in the ache of uncertainty. In that moment, she realized that hoping without certainty was a delicate, almost unbearable act. That afternoon, she found herself at the bookstore again, tracing her fingers along familiar spines without picking a book. Every sound, the shuffle of pages, distant footsteps, seemed amplified, echoing her unease. She thought about the note, the cat, the fleeting coincidences in Theo's smile. Were they genuine signs, or simply fragments of her imagination? The uncertainty gnawed at her, yet within it lay a strange pull, a magnetic force urging her to keep looking, keep noticing, keep believing, even when the world offered no guarantee. A week passed with only faint signs and small coincidences, and Elena felt the fragile thread of hope stretching thin. One rainy evening, she lingered on her balcony, staring at the blurred city lights, heart heavy with longing. Doubt whispered insidiously. Perhaps she had been imagining the universe's responses all along. Yet, beneath the fear, there remained a stubborn pulse, a reminder that some prayers are heard long before they are answered, and sometimes the waiting itself was part of the answer. Later, she sat at her desk, journal open, pen trembling in her hand. Words she wanted to write caught in her throat. What if she was wrong? What if the universe had not been listening at all? Fear, raw and unrelenting, threatened to drown her fragile faith. Yet, in the silence, a whisper emerged, not from anyone she could see, but from somewhere vast and intimate, a gentle urging to hold on, to trust the unseen threads weaving through her life, to remember that uncertainty does not erase possibility. That night, Elena walked through the park under the soft glow of street lamps, her footsteps echoing on damp paths. She closed her eyes, letting the chill air brush her cheeks, feeling the rhythm of the world around her. Somewhere deep within, a fragile certainty whispered that even in doubt, even in fear, the universe had been listening, and for the first time, she allowed herself to imagine that her unseen prayers might not be in vain, that the waiting itself was a form of preparation for the miracle she could not yet name. The morning sun spilled gold across the streets as Elena stepped out, a subtle thrill in her chest. She noticed the tiny details she had once overlooked. a butterfly hovering near a window, a soft breeze carrying the scent of jasmine, a street musician playing a song that seemed written for her. Every small moment felt like a deliberate nod from the universe, a whisper of affirmation she could no longer ignore. Her heart lifted, sensing the invisible threads of connection stretching towards something she had longed for, but never dared to name. By afternoon, a chance encounter seemed almost orchestrated. Elena returned to the bookstore and found Theo in the same aisle, reaching for the same book. Their eyes met, and neither could suppress a smile. Conversation flowed naturally, effortlessly bridging the weeks apart. Laughter bubbled up, a shared understanding passing between them. It was impossible to dismiss the feeling that the universe had arranged this moment, aligning their paths with quiet precision. Walking through the city afterward, Elena noticed tiny synchronies. A bus stopping just as she approached, a handwritten note stuck to a lamppost with a line that seemed written for her, the echo of Theo's laughter from a nearby cafe. Each moment reinforced an unspoken truth. The universe was no longer silent. She began to feel the thrill of recognition in her chest, a quiet certainty that the answers she had sought so long were already unfurling, waiting for her awareness to catch up. That evening, she found herself at the park where they had first walked together, Theo appearing without warning. They spoke of dreams and fears, of moments that felt orchestrated yet effortless. Every word between them carried an unspoken understanding, a recognition that the universe had been quietly arranging this convergence all along. The ordinary had become extraordinary, each shared smile a subtle answer to her long unspoken prayers. Later that night, Elena walked home alone under a soft blanket of stars. Her chest felt lighter, each breath a quiet melody of gratitude. She realized that the subtle patterns, the orchestrated encounters, and the gentle nudges had led her to this moment. Awake, aware, and connected. The universe had answered not with fanfare, but with whispered synchronicities that confirmed a truth she had always sensed. And for the first time, she allowed herself to fully believe in the invisible threads guiding her heart. The morning light spilled across the cafe as Elena arrived, heart fluttering with anticipation she hadn't felt in months. She spotted Theo at the far corner table, sunlight catching his hair, the quiet smile she had come to recognize like a secret promise. As she approached, a rush of recognition surged through her, the invisible threads of the universe tightening with gentle certainty. It was as if every small sign, every whispered prayer, had led her to this singular, undeniable moment of clarity. The universe had been answering her all along. They spoke without hesitation, sharing laughter and words that felt both familiar and new. Every glance, every gesture carried meaning, an unspoken understanding that transcended coincidence. Elena realized that the universe's answers had never been abstract. They were tangible, present in the warmth of Theo's gaze, the ease of conversation, the subtle perfection of this ordinary moment turned extraordinary. Her heart swelled with gratitude and awe, knowing that what she had prayed for silently was here, alive, and breathing beside her. Later, they walked through a sunlit park, every detail sharp, deliberate, perfect. Leaves swirled around their feet, as if choreographed by the universe itself. Elena felt the weight of longing lift from her chest, replaced by an expansive clarity. The prayer she hadn't known she was offering had been answered not in grand spectacle, but in quiet, deliberate, intimate ways. Every coincidence, every gentle nudge had led her here, where reality and hope converged in perfect alignment. As the sun dipped toward the horizon, they paused on a small bridge overlooking a gentle river. Elena felt the river's reflection in her chest, a mirror of her own awakening. She realized the universe had never been silent, that every small sign, every fleeting moment of connection had been a response. Tears pricked her eyes, not of sadness, but of wonder. The invisible had revealed itself, and in that revelation she discovered a depth of gratitude and peace she had never thought possible. That night, Elena lay in bed, her mind alive with wonder and her heart full. She understood, finally, that the prayer she hadn't known she was whispering had been heard all along. The universe's answer was quiet, patient, and perfect, unfolding in moments both extraordinary and intimate. As she closed her eyes, a soft smile lingered on her lips, a recognition that life, love, and fate had conspired gently to bring her exactly what she had been asking for, even when she didn't realize she had asked. The next morning, Elena awoke to the soft light of dawn filtering through her curtains. She moved slowly, savoring the quiet, noticing details she had once overlooked: the scent of fresh coffee, the distant hum of the city, the warmth of her own breath. Gratitude wrapped around her like a gentle shawl. For the first time, she understood that the universe's answer had not been a single event, but a series of small, deliberate moments designed to awaken her heart and teach her to see. She wandered through the city streets, noticing the patterns that had always been there: the gentle rhythm of footsteps, the laughter drifting from open windows, the way sunlight bounced off puddles. Each detail felt like a secret handshake with the universe, a reminder that life's magic often hides in plain sight. Elena felt a new sense of clarity, an understanding that listening, noticing, and trusting were themselves acts of prayer, and that she had learned to hear the answers all along. In the evening, she returned to the park where small coincidences had first caught her attention. The same bench, the same rustling leaves, yet everything felt transformed. Her heart recognized the subtle choreography of the universe, the signs, the meetings, the quiet nudges that had led her here. Elena sat, closing her eyes, letting the world breathe into her. A smile spread across her face as she realized that her life was no longer just lived, but noticed, appreciated, and profoundly understood. Later, she walked along the river, the city lights mirrored in the water. Every ripple, every reflection seemed to whisper a story of alignment and grace. She thought of Theo, of the subtle gestures, the fleeting moments that had carried her to this understanding. Gratitude welled in her chest, a quiet, expansive force. The universe had not only answered her prayers, it had reshaped her perception, teaching her that the smallest threads can weave the most profound tapestry. That night, Elena stood on her balcony, gazing at a sky dotted with stars. The vastness stretched above her, quiet yet infinite, and she felt both small and whole. The prayer she hadn't known she was whispering had been heard, and in their quiet fulfillment, she discovered a sense of belonging she had never known. For the first time, she felt completely aligned with the rhythm of life. Her heart opened to both the ordinary and the extraordinary, ready for whatever the next whispered answer might be. Dawn broke gently over the city, casting soft gold across rooftops and streets. Elena stepped onto her balcony, breathing in the crisp morning air. She felt lighter than she had in months, as if the world had shifted subtly to accommodate her newfound clarity. The universe had answered her prayer, not with spectacle, but with quiet alignment that touched every part of her life. And in that soft stillness, she realized she could carry this awareness into every step, every breath, every ordinary miracle yet to come. Later, she wandered through her favorite park, noticing every detail with tender attention. Birds darted between branches, sunlight kissed leaves in gold, and the river shimmered with mirrored reflections. She felt a profound connection to everything: the city, the trees, the breeze, the distant hum of life itself. Every moment became an affirmation. The universe had been listening all along, and now she had learned to truly hear, to respond, to move gracefully in concert with its quiet wisdom. She paused at the bridge where she and Theo had shared quiet conversations, smiling at the memory. Life had shifted subtly, but meaningfully. Every encounter, every small nudge of fate had brought her to this place of understanding. She realized that the universe's answers were never abrupt. They were woven into the fabric of everyday life, quiet, patient, waiting for her to notice. Elena felt gratitude so full, it seemed to expand outward, touching every corner of her being. Evening arrived with a gentle hush. Elena sat on her balcony with a cup of tea, watching the city lights emerge like scattered stars. She felt a sense of completeness, a quiet resonance that she had never experienced before. Every prayer, every whispered wish, every unnoticed hope had led her to this expansive calm. She understood that peace was not the absence of longing, but the recognition that answers often arrive in their own time, in forms we can only notice when we are ready. Night settled softly over the city, stars twinkling faintly above. Elena lay in bed, eyes closed, a smile lingering on her lips. She had learned to trust, to notice, to believe in the subtle choreography of the universe. Every moment of waiting, every pang of longing, had shaped her into someone awake to life's quiet miracles. And in that final, still moment, she understood fully. The prayer she hadn't known she was praying had been answered, and she was finally home, in herself, in the world, and in the tender pulse of existence.